And then Anna Marie,
would you like me to introduce myself first after you record?
I think we're recording.
Just a second, Jim,
Good.
I'll do an intro.
Well then,
Okay. Welcome to our Zoom call. This is kind of a little teaser, if you want to say that, for an event that we're doing on Saturday called Resolution Revolution. And one of our special guests at the event is Jim Rhoades. We're so glad to have him on our call. Jim's been a master formulator. He's a grandfather. He's very, very familiar with network marketing, startup, all kinds of interesting things. But he does such a fabulous job talking about our amazing products and nutrition and making it so that it's easily understood for the average consumer. And so we're thrilled to have you with us. Take her away, Jim Rhoades.
thank you, Patsy. It is a pleasure to be with all of you tonight, and I'm assuming you're taking time out of busy schedules, as I know Patsy is, since she's been running since her feet hit the ground this morning just to sit down and now listen. And so I salute you, first of all, that you're interested in your health. And this most amazing creation right here that you're all sitting in called your body. It is the most incredible creation on God's earth. And I mean that sincerely. Everything that we need is built into our body to take care of itself so that we can enjoy our stay while we're on this little earth for a while. My background has been nutrition for about 4 decades, both teacher in high school and college, and then as the CEO of an international nutritional company. And I sat at the feet of some of the great biochemists, doctors of nutrition, master herbalists, and some of the truly best mentors I could have ever sat before, and learned over a decade of just how incredible this body of ours is. First of all, it's a body of regeneration, which means we're regenerating brand new cells every minute to the tune of approximately 1 billion per minute. And that's a pretty big number. Over a 7-year period, we're going to change out over 100 trillion cells. And that's even a bigger number. With the exception of brain cells and nerve cells, almost all the rest completely change out over a 7-year period. Some much quicker than that, many times. End results is to change out just one cell, let alone 100 trillion, it takes over 1 quadrillion pieces coming together correctly to form the DNA, to form the nucleus, to form the mitochondria, which is the battery, to form the cell membrane, a quadrillion pieces. And so I'd like to give you some goosebumps explaining what that really means, because these numbers are so massive, they don't mean anything to many people. When we talk about a number as big as 1 billion, the only way we can relate to that is to use something that we see on a daily basis to relate it to, which is time. So back up with me a small number, like 1 million. To count to 1 million by ones, 1 per second, it would take 12 days. In other words, there's 1 million seconds in 12 days. To count to 1 billion, which you have 1 billion new cells created in the last minute, it would take me 33 years. So 1 billion is a huge number. But to count to 1 trillion, which is 1/100th of the number of cells in the average adult body, it would take me 29,700 years. Now, those numbers are massive. But this last one is the gotcha and give you goosebumps of just how incredible you are. To count the number of pieces it takes to build one cell, which is 1 quadrillion, would take 30,800,000 years. Let me repeat that, 30,800,000 years. So, where do all those pieces come from? There's a reason I shared that. Not only to give you goosebumps about how incredible your bodies are, but to know that we are what we eat, what we drink, and what we breathe. And every one of those 100 trillion cells are affected by what we think. So, knowing that, what we eat and drink is going to be mighty important. In other words, if today we were living on Twinkies and fast food, in and out of McDonald's or wherever it's at, we've got a bunch of Twinkie cells being built as we speak, 1 billion per minute. If today we were fortunate enough to eat food that is dense in nutrition, which are things like vitamins and minerals and enzymes and electrolytes and amino acids and fatty acids and water and oxygen and all the things that the body requires to build everything else, then we have some great cells going on, and our possibility of good health and longevity increases. Now, John Anderson, who is one of the creators of the Isagenix program and had the vision some 15, almost 16 years ago, I guess it was 16 years ago, came out of retirement after working with over 600 different nutraceutical companies. I want you to think about that. The master formulator is who he is for Isagenix. Most master formulators in a lifetime work for anywhere from 10 to 12 companies, which means the person who only works for one, the person who worked for 10, has about 10 times as much exposure and knowledge as the one who only worked with one set of other scientists in a certain company. And the one who worked with 10 sets of scientists in 10 companies has 10 times as much exposure to knowledge and information about nutrition and the body. Imagine what John Anderson has. Why would 600 of the best and greatest nutritional companies in the world hire him to help build out their product line, to help enhance their product line? Over a lifetime of 30 years, he worked for over 600 different companies, working with 600 different scientific communities, top cutting-edge companies. The knowledge that he gained over that 30 years was so massive that after he retired, and incidentally, he retired very wealthy, very successful, couldn't let him sleep at night because he realized he had knowledge in his head that could change people's lives. He came out of retirement to do something about what he knew he could create. And he created Isagenix 16 plus years ago by coming up with 3 major ideas. One, something no one had ever done. He realized that the environment we live in with these bodies often is counterproductive. We like the ease of where we live today, but with all of the new inventions and all the chemicals that are in all the new inventions, from cleaning products for cleaning the kitchen and the floor and the bathtub, can do damage to human beings. Okay? They're chemicals that the body has never had to relate to before and doesn't know what to do with. All the chemicals in our food, from pesticides and herbicides, the artificial flavors, the artificial colors, the artificial sweeteners, which are really detrimental, the preservatives alone, all of those things are creating a toxic environment for us to live in. And he realized if we could change up the inside of us by helping the body rid itself of these chemicals and things that don't belong in the body, it could make a major impact on how long we lived, but more importantly, how well we lived. And to me, it isn't the length of time I live, it's the quality of time that I live that I am interested in doing. For me, I want to live till the day I die. I don't want to die and then hang around an extra 20 years having somebody else feed me my pablum and powder my behind, or not know the next person who comes in the room, even if they're my family. That, to me, is not quality. And as a consequence, I have researched for 30, 40 years now in the nutritional field, products that were not just good, but stellar. that made a difference in people's lives. And when I ran across Isagenix, I discovered that John Anderson had created something that was 10 years ahead of anybody in the industry. The first thing he thought of was, how can we help the body cleanse itself of the impurities that we consume on a daily basis in the form of our water, which has chlorine and heavy metals and everything else in it, in the form of food that has the pesticides, if they're the fresh foods, or the artificial flavors and all the other things they had to make it look and taste good. He said, if I could build a full body cleanse, no one has ever done that before. And he came up with a technology that does exactly that. And the body knows how to cleanse itself. It's constantly cleaning itself. It's constantly detoxifying itself. Okay? It knows how to do that, but it's being overwhelmed by the environment we live in. Just the bed you sleep on, for instance, is sprayed. The mattress you sleep on anyway is sprayed and soaked in something called flame retardant. It's extremely harmful to the human body, and we inhale it all night long as it off-gases. And then we wonder why we wake up sometimes feeling worse than when we went to bed. Wouldn't it be incredible if we could utilize something, and someone as smart as John Anderson could build a system that could help the body rid itself of these chemicals that don't belong in our body? And that's exactly what he did with the very first pillar, which is called Cleanse for Life. By utilizing Cleanse for Life, and he realized that this was going to go worldwide. And he realized that young people might want it. So he made it safe enough for a 12-year-old to use and effective enough for a 70-year-old to use. And it would help the body rid itself of the junk by help break it down and carry it out. And once you've cleansed the body of the impurities, particularly the colon and the liver and the kidney and the lymph system, the blood system, and the 100 trillion cells, you have cells that are so hungry and looking for nourishment, then you can flood the body with the finest food. Now, even in the Cleanse for Life, it is loaded with nutrients the body needs and often is missing, particularly the minerals. And they're there in rich supply from plant source, which is very important because that means they're water soluble. So long story short, he built the first ever full body cleanse that is extremely, extremely healthy. On top of the fact that it's helping the body rid itself of harmful substances, it's nourishing and it's rebalancing the pH of your digestive system. Interesting enough too. If you've ever studied the acid alkaline health challenge, which is healthier? Most diseases thrive in acidity. Most diseases don't do well in alkalinity. So which side of the coin do we want to be on? Of course, we want to be in the light alkaline side. Guess what Isagenix does? You see, the scale goes from 0 to 14. The first 7 numbers, 0 to 7, are the acid side. From 7 to 14 are the alkaline side. You want to be really close to neutral, just slightly alkaline. Our Cleanse for Life helps you maintain a 7.2, which most people in my arena declare as the healthiest state you can be in. And that's exactly what it accomplishes. So it's helping do that. In the Cleanse for Life, few people realize this. There are certain herbs that also confront candida and yeast and parasites. A lot of people ask me, well, I don't have pets, so I don't have parasites. I go, well, if some of your food you bought at the supermarket came south of the border and it was raised in gray water, you have plenty of parasites. There are animal parasites and there are food parasites, and most of us carry those. And wouldn't it be nice if we could, every time we take one of those cleanses, confront that, and you want it out of you, not in you. Now, once you've rid yourself of things that you don't want, such as the toxic things that are considered bad for the body, the chemicals and things that don't belong, then you replenish with a nutritional superfood, a living, live food. Isagenix has produced, and John Anderson put this together, the finest meal replacement food on the planet. But it's not a food replacement. It is food. It's a meal replacement, and it is a lifestyle. What I'm describing is not a diet. This is a 100% lifestyle, something you would want to do every day for the rest of your life if you enjoy good health. Nutrition is one of the keys to attaining that good health. Every one of those 100 trillion cells need to be nourished on a daily basis. Every one of the billion brand new cells need to be formed with everything in them so they're not missing anything. This isolene shake is the most complete food I have ran into in my 40 years of nutritional studies and my 10 years of being a CEO of an international nutritional company and researching every form of a nutritional meal replacement I could find. Isagenix, hands down, is so superior because John looked at the most superior ingredients to build it in the first place. He went to New Zealand to get his protein source, the cleanest protein on the planet, bar none. This is protein that is whey, that is undenatured. It means it wasn't treated with heat, so it's not been changed by heat. It is taken from cows that are milked during the milking season, that are all grass-fed and pasture-fed. They're not given antibiotics or growth hormones or any of the things you don't want in your body. If you realize that milk and milk products are just liquid cow, so whatever the cow is eating, you're going to be eating secondarily, then it makes sense you want the cleanest source you can get. The amino acid profile, which is a very big fancy word for every building block that the body needs to build lean body tissue and muscle mass, is in that shake. Then you add one more thing. Remember, we confronted the candida and yeast with the cleanse. Now when you're replenishing with a product that has all the probiotics your body needs to build the good, friendly bacteria back in your gut. The key to health is gut health. You know, that sounds really crazy, but it's true. If you can have a healthy digestive system, the GI system is the whole key to health for the whole rest of the body. Here's why. Everything you eat and drink has to pass through it. It has to be able to break it down correctly and then take it and deliver it to where it's needed. If it's gone sideways on you, then the rest is in starvation mode, waiting for it to do its job. The very first thing that John addressed was helping it get alkaline corridor, helping it to have the probiotic it needed, having the fiber it needs to feed the probiotic, which is called a prebiotic. Also,
Jim, can you hear me? Can everybody else hear me? I think his internet's gotten frozen. Let's just give him a sec. While we're waiting for Jim, let me just say that, you know, we're going to get this recording up on the Team People Builders page as quickly as we can so that you can share it. Okay?
Okay.
Yes.
And I think we're going to see Jim pop right back on. Let's just give him a sec.
dinner usually every day. Not sure. Mommy. That's what I said. He's so smart. I hated to do him in, you know.
Like, just simultaneous. I'm gonna quickly shoot Jim a text. So let's just hang tight a sec. What did we do before we had all these amazing pieces of technology?
Wrote letters. That's very nice at the same time. You wrote letters.
We met at Denny's and looked at yellow pads.
Isn't that the truth? Trying to see who else. Has everybody gotten, while we're waiting for Jim, has everybody gotten their tickets?
Yes.
Has everybody gotten on Eventbrite and gotten their tickets?
I need to get on. This is Judy. I haven't gotten mine yet. I got to get on tonight and get it.
I'm getting mine
Thank you,
tomorrow morning.
Thank you. Thank you.
Patsy, are we talking about for the event Saturday or for what?
For the event Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, I thought we could pay at the door, but if we have to get a ticket in advance, we can do that.
You can pay at the door. It just helps with the count.
Oh, okay.
In the comment line, when you buy the ticket, Eleanor,
Yeah.
somehow I lost myself there. In the comment line, you can actually tell how many guests you anticipate having.
Okay.
And when we print those tickets off, we can get a sense.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
What tell you that one of Frank's clients may be coming.
Oh, great. That's super neat. That's great.
Anna Marie, did you stop? Nope, you didn't stop the recording. Let's go ahead and stop the recording for a minute.
Yes.
There you go, Jim.
Ron.
All right. Well, sorry for that interruption. Somehow my internet connection just froze. So I was talking to myself and no one was looking. I do that often anyway. Okay, back to pillar one, that cleanse. No one that I know of in any company on the earth that I have researched has any technology like what John put together in the Cleanse for Life, which can have such a positive effect on us and our bodies. That puts us 10 years ahead of anyone out there. Second, the Isagenix shake, which I consider the most perfect meal on the planet, so much so that with my 24 grandkids, I've insisted to each of my married children with all my grandkids in their care that every grandkid on a daily basis get a minimum, starting at sippy cup age, of a baby shake from the Isagenix shake. Why? I just happen to know that it has more nutrition in it than anything else they will eat all day long. If I want them to have the healthiest immune system, which is your major player, if you're going to ever get sick or not, your immune system can launch up to 20 trillion soldiers to protect you from colds, flus, pneumonia, cancer, for Pete's sakes. So you want a healthy immune system starting at a very young age. Second, when you have the shake, you have several things that are added to it. As John built it, he realized there was a second epidemic in the United States besides malnutrition. And the epidemic was obesity. They estimate at least 70% of the United States is currently overweight. And one half, which is what, 35? 35% of the United States is now considered obese, which is deadly. All right. In fact, obesity now has surpassed even tobacco as the single most deadly killer, reversible killer in the United States. It used to be tobacco, and listen to the way I couch that, because it's the single greatest reversible cause of death in the United States. All right, so we have an epidemic, and it's not just us old folks. The real tragedy, it's hitting the youth, our kids. And you're seeing 10-year-olds type 2 diabetics, which is not even possible except here. And that's crazy, because that's lifestyle. Anyway, long story short, this protein shake has the perfect mix of every one of the 90 nutrients needed that the body cannot create on its own. It has every one of the essential amino acids, which are the base building blocks that come from our proteins that build lean body tissue and muscle. It has every one of the essential fatty acids, which are our oils, like our omegas, our avocado, our olive, those things particularly that the body needs for the brain and the heart health, as well as the joints. It has every one of the essential vitamins, which are the spark of life in the entire body. It has every one of the essential, catch this, minerals. And it is minerals that are missing most often in the foods that we get at the grocery store. So knowing that, I happen to know that it is the most complete meal that anyone could put in their body, and why wouldn't they want the healthiest food on the planet for breakfast every day for the rest of their lives? So those are the two first pillars. One, cleansing the body, ridding itself of things that don't belong there, so that it can be like a little sponge. So when you flood the body with the nutrition of that shake, it's looking for it. And as a result of what the cleanse and the shake do, balancing that pH of the digestive system again at about a 7.2. It's like magic. And replenishing and repopulating the friendly bacteria. Okay? So, third thing. Now, no one in Colorado needs the third thing, because the third product that he came out with was to help people with stress. And no one in Colorado has that, I've heard. So we just need to contact everybody else in the United States because there are people who have road rage. There are people who don't like other people. And so this product, the Ionic Supreme, is, in my opinion, the crowning jewel of all of John's knowledge of putting together synergistically every healthy herb that can go to the cellular level and lower the stress level of that cell. So it works on both mental stress of the brain as well as physical stress of the muscles. Let's say you just ran a marathon. It has something in it called adaptogens. Now, what are adaptogens? They're just like what it sounds like. They are the healthiest herb that contain nutrients that are designed to seek out, once the liver figures out what's needed by the body, and that's the master UPS delivery system right there. It can send those adaptogens to the hottest area that needs the most repair or work, whether that's the brain if you're in the middle of a midterm, or if it's the muscles just because you just completed a marathon. And so that Ionic Supreme has over 100 active ingredients in it that deal with what the body needs, just small amounts of, that can make major differences. Particularly the one that I like is how it helps people sleep different and deeper and get into REM sleep. Oftentimes people who have sleeping disorders, the first thing I'll put them on is our sleep spray, which is going to increase their melatonin, which is the relaxant of the brain, to tell it it's okay to stop worrying, and the Ionic Supreme as a warm tonic just before bed. and have them call me within a day or so and say, I've had better sleep in the last 2 days than the last 2 years. It's amazing. It is a product that works, and it works well, and it is so good for you. Unfortunately, it's for 18 and over because it also has nutrients in there that will also increase and stimulate blood flow. And all of that also creates a little situation if you have a teenager who's coming up through puberty that you may not give it to anyone under 18 for that reason. Okay, so those are the three major pillars. That's in every program that I put out there, most all people. Here's a few things to realize. Not all of us are exactly the same. Our coaching of those people that we introduce this product to is really helpful, especially for those who may be on medication or under a doctor's care. In fact, we always recommend and tell them this: Isagenix isn't a medicine. It wasn't built to cure a disease or heal anything. It was built to feed the body what it needs so that it can do its work and create the miracle you're looking for. And that's what it is, a superfood, a super living food. From the cleanse to the shake replenishment to the ionics. And when you can't get a shake, and a lot of us are in work mode and we can't get home to our blender, but you can always take the substitute for it, which is, of course, the isolene bars. They are excellent. They're so much better than any snack you would buy anywhere else. They don't have the live enzymes in it, but other than that, they're very similar in what they can do and furnish in as far as the nutritional value to the isolene shakes. Boy, some of these new flavors, my grandkids think that they're getting a candy bar every time I cut one up and give them a bite. So we fill our candy dishes with little pieces of each of the different flavors of the isolene bars. Now,
That's because they're delicious.
yes, they are delicious. And
we have the enzymes now that
Yeah.
we can take if we're needing to do the bars.
You're right. We do have the super
They're
enzyme.
great.
And now that combination is so close to the real thing, except I will admit this, there's a couple more calories in the bars, and there's a little more sugar because they have really learned how to make them taste good. You know, a common question that comes up about our shake is, isn't there too much sugar in there? And the answer is that they could be if it was the wrong kind of sugar, because there are good sugars and bad sugars. The bad sugar are the processed sugars, which means that they break down with one chemical reaction and raise your blood sugar immediately once they hit your mouth. Literally, they're broken down and in the blood in the next few seconds. And then there's the good for you sugars, which are the fructose kind, which come from fruits and vegetables. And what do I mean by that? Well, they haven't been processed. And as a consequence, they have to go through several chemical reactions before they're broken down and enter the blood as glucose. So they don't spike your blood sugar, creating a need for insulin. So they're very friendly for our friends who do have a blood sugar issue. In fact, all of our protein shakes are glycemic friendly, low glycemic, which is what they want. And again, the nutritional value, what John realized is that if he could make a meal that had 100% of the nutrients you needed, but it contained friendly sugars, which you still need to become a complete meal because your brain runs on glucose, as well as it ignites the muscles, and yet it had very few calories. In other words, it's very dense in nutrition and very low in the calorie side. And our shakes only have about 250 calories for a complete meal. So when you replace 2 meals a day at 250 calories, that's 500 calories total for 2 of your main meals. Then you eat a third meal of 600 calories. Now that's 11. and you eat some snacks and a few things added, maybe that's 12 and 1300 calories total. And the average adult, just maintaining, even if they don't exercise a lot, will burn approximately 19 to 2100 calories a day. And those extra calories that are burnt usually will come from the stored calories in the fat cells. The uniqueness is when you add the natural accelerator to the program, which comes in the 30-day program, it triggers that very action. Because of the ingredients in the natural accelerator, it increases the metabolism because it feeds the thyroid and the adrenal glands, which are often burnt out because of our lifestyle of stress. And as a consequence, and the green tea and all of the extract that's in there creates the perfect storm for the body to utilize fat as its fuel. That's why you see pounds and inches melting away while you're still building lean body tissue and protecting muscle mass. The fat goes down, the muscle goes up, and that's the perfect storm. So when John put this together, I'll just add this one thing, and I know we're probably coming down on time. He realized that not everybody, again, is built the same and needs the same out of it. What he wanted to produce, with what I believe he did, is a food that would be healthy for a child as well as for a teenager, as well as an adult, that would be convenient. And I don't know if you can get any more convenient than 2 scoops, add some water and put it in your blender and pour out the perfect meal. And all the different flavors, oh my gosh. Now, if you're like me, I put a ton of ice in mine and eat it with a spoon because I love it that way. And then I may even be so careful as to drop a whole handful of almonds in there too. So now I even have a little crunchy, chewy meal as well as my perfect shake. So
Have to try that.
Oh, there. My best is 1 scoop of vanilla, 1 scoop of chocolate, a handful of almonds, and maybe, depends on how you're going to use the cleanse juice and the ionics. I'll throw both of those things right in my shake. I love their flavors in the shake. If I have time and I can do 2 things, it'll make a big difference for my whole day. Most important thing I can do is put a 12-ounce glass of water on my nightstand so that the second my feet hit the floor, I sit and dip that full 12 ounces down. You see, the body is supposed to have 60 to 70% water mass. And you and I are lucky if we're walking around at 50, and that's the truth. Dehydration is one of the major components that is doing damage to us. It's what creates allergies, what creates asthma, it's what creates diarrhea and constipation. By upping our water, especially in the morning, because that's our driest state. For the last 8 hours, we've laid there and breathed out, and with every breath, water vaporizes, and the carbon dioxide carries it out. And as a consequence, we're at our driest state. So we need to drink pure, clean water first thing in the morning. It will have a major impact on our weight loss, as well as our appetite during the day, as well as lowering the possibility of headaches and toxicity buildup, because water becomes your best friend. It's what carries nutrients in, it's what dilutes the garbage and helps pull it out and flush it out of the body. So we need to be talking about water more often to everyone who is doing our program, especially during their cleanse days. It doesn't do a lot of good to break out all of this toxic waste and then not rinse it out so that it just gets absorbed by the next cell over. We want it out of there, and water is the key. And a lot of people ask me, well, does the water in my shake count as part of the water? And does the water in my juice count? And does the water in my milk count? And does the water, no, it doesn't. The reason it doesn't is second you mix water with some other agent, it now has a chemical in there which inhibits or slows down its ability to be absorbed by the cell. And what you want is the water to become intercellular. In other words, absorbed and transmitted into the inside of the cell where it's needed desperately to keep everything active and working. Okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So water becomes your best friend, and the formula for how much water is pretty easy. You take your total weight of your body, in my case, 220 pounds, divide it in half, would be 110. I need a minimum of 110 ounces of water daily. It doesn't do a lot of good to drink the whole thing in the AM, because by noon, you've already gone to the potty and it's gone. Spread it out today, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. Now, to change the outside of our body, we need to realize we also need to work on the inside. It's actually an inside job. Because until we are convinced that whatever our goal is real and realistic, I know at this time of year, most of us have these lofty good goals because it's the brand new year and it's time to have our New Year's resolutions in front of us, okay? What you need to understand is very simple. Your New Year's resolution cannot live in your old comfort zone. Your old comfort zone has gotten you right where you are. And it's going to pull you right back where you are until it believes that it's capable of whatever it is your new resolution is. And that happens up here in the brain. And when the brain can conceive it and believe it, it can act on it and it can achieve it. But until the brain believes it, you'll end up with self-defeating behaviors and all kinds of crazy things that keep you from reaching your goal over and over and over. So one of the big things that I suggest all of us do, if particularly we're wanting to drop more pounds and inches, we need to look closely at the body challenge, which is free to join and free to get in. And if we complete it, we're assured that we'll at least receive a certificate worth $200 worth of product to keep us healthy. That's a win-win right there. But what happens is we surround ourselves as soon as we join that program and commit to, communicating with the other contestants that are in that same program or people. And when there's a lot of us keeping each other accountable, our chances of success increase exponentially. So our environment has changed. We're around the very kind of like-thinking people that we are. And consequently, we believe and get inspired by them, and we help them. Big time.
And the beautiful part that Scott and Laura St. John bring to the picture when we talked on Saturday is the strong, healthy, strong living community.
Yes, totally.
I'm so excited about that part.
Me too. The other thing that everyone should join, and yes, it will take $39 to do it, is called Healthy Mind and Body. It's back to once you understand how the brain works, and that's exactly what Rod Hairston puts you through, is how to stick with it once you find out it's still hard, but you can still do it and get to the other side a winner. When you combine Healthy Mind and Body, which interestingly, if you complete it in the 6 weeks, the company will send you another certificate worth $45. You only paid $39 to do the whole program to change up, and it only takes 15 to 20 minutes maximum per day for 6 weeks in a row for you to complete the program, they'll send you $45 worth of a gift certificate again for product. So if they pay you to join a personal development program that will bless all of your relationships, bless you with setting your goals, meeting your goals, and reporting on your goals, and holding yourself accountable to both you and the others. So as a combination, no company has ever done anything like this that I'm familiar with in all the history of my 40 years in the nutritional world. Isagenix has done it better than anybody else. They've gone out and got the best of the best. And then, of course, we go to things like New Year's kickoff and get inspired all over again and get very, very excited. I'm excited for this Saturday and what we're going to be sharing there. And we've just touched on a little bit of that tonight about these incredible products. And again, I probably could take a minimum of an hour on each product that Isagenix have. I haven't even hit pillar number 5, which are the ageless essentials. And how incredible. I will just say this one thing about it. People ask me, okay, if I'm on the cleanse and I'm doing a 1 to 2 days cleanse per month, and I've already hit target weight, and I'm having 1 to 2 shakes a day and cleansing once or twice a month, and I'm taking ionics, why would I need the essentials? Well, that's again, those first 3 pillars are for everybody, young as well as old. But as we age, we need more of certain nutrients, which in those essentials are for those of us who are not producing as many enzymes as we did when we were younger, as much CoQ10 as we did when we were younger. All of those things are contained in those ageless essentials that guarantee, just the CoQ10 alone, your body produces CoQ10. It is the connector. It's like the spark plug wires that run between the batteries and the fuel, okay, that ignite the fuel that comes into the cell from the battery. But if you don't have enough CoQ10 in you, it's like taking all the spark plug wires out of a car and hoping that it'll run. The second you're on the ageless essentials and you're taking that ageless active product, which has a brand new name now, it is like putting brand new spark plug wires in 100 trillion cells the very first day you do that, and every day thereafter, because my body at age 70 is producing less than half of the CoQ10 I did at age 29. And for me to have energy and for me to get ready to compete, if you can imagine, in a half marathon in April, which is what I am striving to do over in Hawaii. And I can't wait to share this story. In fact, if I've got 5 more minutes, I'll tell you a story that will blow you away, and then I'll get in more detail on Saturday. Look at the clock. Okay, we got just a couple minutes left. This story started 2.5 years ago. I got a phone call from Kim Evans. Kim Evans was our first poster lady who lost 152 pounds and is incredible in her own right. She had shared her story in Idaho Falls, and present in that home party that she shared was a gentleman by the name of Rod. Now, Rod had a desire to do an Ironman, but his life was different than most of us, if you can imagine this. He had gotten a disease, a virus, as a young father, and it had paralyzed him from the neck down. The doctors were able to save his life, but the disease came back a second time and destroyed more of his body. They got rid of it the second time, and the disease struck a third time. And this disease is so rare, to just get it once is crazy, but 3 times. He ended up a quadriplegic in a wheelchair. with the doctor saying you have between 30 and 90 days left. I am so sorry. And Rod says, hey, after all I've gone through, I'm going to beat that. And they said, what do you mean? He says, not only am I going to beat that, I am going to run an Ironman in Kona, Hawaii. And they smiled at him and says, yeah, bless your heart for wanting to do that. Now fast forward 21 operations later. 21 operations later. 2 new hips, new knees, a stimulator in his back to control the pain. Surgery after surgery after surgery. Well, he meets Kim after 9 of those surgeries. And he's trying to, of course, learn how to re-walk and re-run and ride a bike and all that. And Kim says, you're out of my league as far as what you could use of Isagenix and not, but if you'll let me, I will have a friend named Jim call you, and he can help you. Well, Kim remembers it differently than me, but she called and said, would you mind calling Rod Hutchins? And I said, sure, why? He says, he wants to do an Ironman. I says, well, okay. Well, he has a few health challenges. And I says, okay. So I got on the phone with Rod, and I says, hey, I hear you want to do an Ironman. Yep. But Kim says you have some health challenges. What are they? And he says, well, other than the fact that I've been in a wheelchair and a quadriplegic for a while, you know, but I got new hips, down, new knees, back, new everything else. Can you help me? I says, okay, now, what's the truth? What really are your health challenges? And he says, that is the truth. And I says, oh my gosh. Well, okay, let's go. Oh, we'll start with the insulin shake, put some isopro and 1 ounce of cleanse in you. We will give you Nutritionist Supreme. We started slow. 2.5 years later, he called me and says, are you near a computer? I says, why? He says, this is Rod. I says, yeah, I recognized you. How you doing on that quest to do the Ironman? He says, I'm on track. I just took 3rd place in a triathlon. And I said, what? He says, yes, just go to Google, type in paralyzed man comes 3rd place in triathlon in Idaho. Do that. His name is Rod Hutchins. And you will go, you gotta be kidding me. And he says, not only that, they've accepted to let me run Ironman in Kona in April. Want more help from me so I can get ready for it. Will you? And I says, if I can bring a few more people on the team with me, one of those people that brought on the team is Dr. Paul Marcero. If you know who he is, he is tweaked out the program of all of our new health, of our new sports line product. So what he was already, and Rod is burning up the track on the treadmill on his bike, and is on track to run, if you can imagine this, the Ironman course in April. And he's taking all 60 of the people who have blessed him, including the 5 doctors and their families who have not charged him for the 21 operations, and saved his life numerous times and put him on track to Kona with him to complete any part of the race they can, including the last mile. So I'm going to try to complete the last half marathon with him. You see, the Ironman means he's going to swim 2.4 miles in the ocean. Then he's going to come out of the ocean, take off his wetsuit, climb on a bicycle, and pedal 112 miles. Then he's going to get off the bicycle and run all the same day 26.2 miles, which is the full marathon. And he's taken people over there who are also quadriplegic to crawl, drag, whatever they have to do the last mile, so they all cross the finish line together. Because when he was interviewed, what kept him alive against all odds? What caused him to decide to become an Ironman? he said, laying in the hospital for all those years, going through all those operations, the one thing that kept going through my mind, I saw myself do an Ironman. I had seen it prior to getting sick. And I saw myself swim every one of those 2.4 miles, one stroke after the next. I saw myself pedal every mile of the 112 miles on the bike. And I saw every step I ran for 26 miles. Over and over and over I crossed the finish line. And I am doing it, and I am going. And will you and Dr. Arciero go with me? And then run any part of it with me and join me that last mile for sure and cross the finish line with our arms in the air, doing something that the doctor said was not possible for a human. So, I invite you to grab your computer when I'm off this and just take a who he is. Just type in Rod Hutchins or Paralyzed Man Wins First Prize. You will go, Isagenix helps this man fuel his body to this point. So I know I've enjoyed being with you. I'm so glad I grabbed the phone and finished. And I hope and wish all of you the best health. And I guess I just need to say thank you. I'm looking forward to being this Saturday, and I hope all can join us.
Jim, I think one of the things that we're going to announce when you drop off is
Yes.
that we're going to do an informal, no host meet and greet at 6:30 in the